Hi, my name is Syahidan bin and I would like to present here my thesis proposal entitled Education for Sustainable Development, ESD, Challenges and Way Forward for School Leaders. Have you ever wondered a world in future that has no more fossil energy, flat society, economy turned down and people live in total chaos? This is the prediction of future parents with no preparation action taken to overcome this threatening problem. To overcome this problem, sustainable development should occupy all aspects of life. An action by the UN General Assembly to convene the World Conference on Environment and Development of the Dublin Report in 1983 recognized education as a strategy for sustainable development. The goal of Agenda 21 was to establish to implement the Dublin Report internationally, and the Chapter 36 highlights the education as a key strategy. ESD is an approach in learning and teaching based on the triple bottom line of sustainability, people, planet, and profit that cover globally threatening issues such as environmental protection, preserving biological diversity, climate change, human rights, poverty reduction, improved healthcare, and all in education context. Now, let's see what's the purpose and objective of this research. So the purpose is to, and here is the research canvas of my research proposal, and this is the summary. I summarize everything in one page. So let's see what's the purpose or objective of this study. The first is to explore the implementation of ESD in school. The second one is to identify the set competencies of school leaders in the process of implementing ESD, to explore the challenges and barriers that school leaders experience in practicing ESD in school, and to identify the attributes of principals in making change to ESD challenges and barriers. So the first and the second research objective is to know the current status of the ESD implementation in school, and the third and fourth objective is to explore further what is the challenge, barriers, and the attributes of principals based on the implementation of ESD that they have in school. And then we move on to the research question. Me to know and to explore what am I going to study. So the first research question is how school leaders implement ESD in their school. The second one is what are the set competencies of school leaders in the process of implementing ESD, which is the new one, right, where we know the competency of school leaders, but this specific research question is to know the competency in terms of ESD. And then the third research question is what are the challenges and barriers that school leaders experience in practicing ESD. And the fourth research question is what are the attributes of principals in making changes to ESD. The research question derived by the set of the problem statement or the get of the study that obtained from the literature. So the first gap or the research problem that I found is the principal role itself that leads to the attribute of principals in the attribute of ESD in school. So the principal's role in terms of how they perceive the ESD in terms of positive or negative way will determine the successfulness of the ESD in school, and how they embed the ESD in school and lead the staff in the school towards sustainability and building capacity to facilitating the team, and the competency level itself, which is quite low based on literature. And there's also evidence in literature that there's lack of study in ESD, especially in Malaysia, where this is the opportunity for me to further explore what are the challenges of the ESD among school leaders. And the third one is the uncertain concept of ESD itself. Okay, where there's principal poor understanding of ESD observed by the literature, and teacher also got poor understanding of ESD because this ESD is quite new cycling program or making school green, but actually ESG is way beyond that. And the definition is too broad and complex, where sometimes to explain the meaning of ESG to the school teacher is quite difficult, and this might be another problem for the teacher to explain to the student. And the system limitation itself, where there's a lot of the decision making of school is quite limited, where the school bound by the ministry decision, because the national education system is very centralized, um, because it is a top-down decision making, so it's quite limiting the power of the principal to make decision in terms of ESP. And more internal and external support is needed, for example, from politicians, from the policymakers, and from the management part of MOE. The research methodology of this study, I use a qualitative approach, fully qualitative approach, and the design is using one-to-one interview, where there interview protocol involved to get to obtain the data from the principal, and the technique is a thematic analysis that I use triangulation just to get in depth and understanding of the phenomena. And the participant of this study, the population is among school leaders from schools involved in Johor Sustainable Education Action Plan 2019-2023, which is now currently still ongoing, and the sampling is non-probability purposes sampling among the school leaders. And the data analysis, the data collection from semi-structured interview, and the interview protocol development through extensive literature review, and based on the developing of the interview, thematic analysis will be conducted to get the theme, to get the scope and the theme of the expected finding. So it is expected that the descriptive information of the school's action and progress in ESD, and a deeper picture of what actually happening in school in terms of ESD, and in-person personal experience of putting ESD into practice, and the dimension of ESD principles that support or contribute to the literature. And in conclusion, this study aims to explore in depth the challenges that would be the barriers for school leaders in implementing ESD. Now, the nature of school leaders' attributes in ESD, we put this study in the best position to offer some alternatives to the issue, and formulating ESD attributes of the school leaders. And formulating ESD attributes of the school leaders, and this is the very first step in addressing the more alternatives on ESD issues for school reforms. And I also hope that this research will get a new insight on how schools in Malaysia can adapt ESD as one of the key important school policies in Malaysia towards more sustainable in the future. So that's all from me. Thank you very much.